Well, so I guess I'm going to talk about a specific subject, um, balance, kind of a broad subject, but nonetheless, it is a specific one. Yeah, I'm very awkward, and the reason being, I've had an imbalance of hanging out with people. I've been out of balance with sort of being extroverted. I haven't had an opportunity to be around other people in sort of a communal setting in quite some time. And frankly, when I was in a communal setting where, I was sort of uh, expected to be involved, as you would say, in other people's lives, couldn't really do it all that much. I always kind of find myself to be more or less of an outsider. So it's a kind of strange proposition, let's say, to suggest that I should become somehow more involved or I guess balanced in the extroversion part of the introversion. And maybe it's too much to expect people to be outside of their sort of norms, psychologically speaking. Um, Nonetheless, I find it difficult to even have balance in my own, what I know to be my own normal life, what I've known to be normal for a majority of my life, which has consisted of exercising my mind as well as my body. And so, because of that being something that I've been doing for so long, I've fallen out of it, and with much fancy, I enjoy it. But at the same time, it destroys me, and literally, physically destroys me to indulge in the um, comforts, creature comforts, let's say, of modern times. And I also think that it's this succumbing to said creature comforts, which is a universally recognizable and appreciable thing that most, if not everyone, has in their own way sort of given in to these vices, whatever they may be. It's so easy to do that in our culture, which has been largely created for and by seekers of the leisure class to make our lives leisurely, something of an easygoing. This is the apparent desire of all of humanity is to create an easygoing state in which none of us really have to do very much worrying about things, where you have a toilet if you have to go take a shit, where you have a supermarket if you have to get food, where you have a car if you have to get places, where you have to pick things up or take people to. Just everything. Every problem has been solved with some form of technology. If you're bored, play a video game. There's no place for challenging ourselves anymore. Unless you want to be pretentious and go for a run. Not because you need to, but because you want to. Because it's a world in which going for a run is the healthy thing to do. It's the safest thing to do. Back in 100 years ago, 200 years ago, going for a run in certain places would be a danger, because it would be a dangerous proposition, because you could be attacked by an animal. Well, we solved that too. Most, if not all, animals that were a threat to human beings are gone. We've fallen out of balance in that sense. We've fallen completely out of balance with nature, with the resource balance that creates homeostasis on this planet. And just as I'm out of balance in my own way, the whole world, everybody is out of balance. I mean, we can be aware of our habits, but we can't really, control these things. I guess that's not even the point. The point is just to be aware of them and to simply observe them until we understand them. It's easy enough said, so much more difficult to do. If we could purify ourselves of this trouble, I've stopped meditating for so long, not in a formal sense. In a formal sense, I mean I've stopped meditating, but in a large part, the way that I meditate hasn't been to sit down in a pose and sort of close my eyes and make as though I'm paying more attention to something. My meditation is simple recognition of the fact that we are essentially the mind, the all mind, experiencing a fragment of itself. We are all collectively that, the I of eyes, the sort of subconscious meta mind that we all create through our collective experience. But without realizing that, my practice of meditation has proven useless in real life. Unless, of course, the relationships which I find myself in are, in fact, just antithetical to my own happiness. In which case, I can't claim to be a wise being because I haven't been able to succeed in my own right with simple communication skills. And perhaps that's because I've fallen out of balance. As I said, I just haven't been in relation to other human beings, and my existence hasn't been determined by what other people have thought for my whole life. So it's not something that I'm used to being in a position of having. It's not something I'm used to in general, to have somebody else be in a position to criticize me or disagree or to even just have a disagreement. I don't know, to have conflict, to be offended by someone. I mean, shit, like, only until recently have I had to even express this underlying seething disdain for my fellow human beings who, for all my desire to be in love with have failed me in so many ways and have failed themselves. Because I am only a reflection of yourself, and you a reflection of me. What I think of you is a reflection of myself. And what you think of me is a reflection of yourself. And yet we come into conflict. I don't really know what to really honestly say to all of that. Honestly, I think that there's really only a few solutions to my imbalance. One of them would be to go completely against my own intuition and flee into the city to expose myself and engorge myself in the lotus eater lifestyle of limitless sin and indulgence and experience. It's one theory, one possibility, you know. Is that really is that really purifying me? Is that a purification? No. No, it's not. It's not gonna really do anything. I could even better go and get my passport and go to Europe. Is that gonna be, is that gonna lead to a purification? No. And that is ultimately what balance, the point of balance and seeking balance is to reach a state of purification, of virtuousness, and consciousness. And I'm having a difficult time of really coming to that, to a point of realization, quantum leap, as it were, you know, real transformation of who I am. It's not going to come from somebody else wishing and telling me that they wish that I had. It's not going to come from somebody telling me what they want from me. And it's not going to come from somebody else in general. Like I said, I haven't been doing the things like reading and writing and exercising. All I've really been doing is fucking around, going on Facebook. Just nothing. Up until now, making this video, the most that I've done in the past year so far is speak at the Free Your Mind conference. And that was only the open mic. For me to be able to actually communicate to an audience for the subject which I've written about, it would require at least an hour to an hour and a half. And that's just because what I'm talking about is actually backed up by a lot of science and a lot of common sense, all of which can be gone into and really dissected and analyzed. But I would rather honestly just talk about the things that go beyond that. Those things being, how we can learn to educate one another, and in doing so, create a kind of um, a new kind of organization, something a lot more like what what people would call cells, groupings of people together. And this would be the beginning of sort of a new evolution of government and an agoristic principle, which simply means people doing things of themselves rather than being guided by government or some other institution. And I'm struggling with balance, and I'm sure that there are a lot of other people. I'm sure that almost every one of us, if not, you know, all of us, deal with this imbalance. If we can share that with one another, maybe there's a way to bring hope to ourselves and to the rest of the world. And I hope that that is what I'm doing right now and hope to do in the future. There's a lot to be unraveled. There's so much in this world that, if only could be expressed and understood, would save and potentially revive the human spirit. Maybe even transform it and make it even better. Who knows? Who knows? I think I do. And I think there's a lot of people who have come before us that have said that they knew too. They knew. We all know. We all know. There is an alternative. There is a middle path. Love and appreciation. We are but oneself. Namaste.